Thanks for tuning into the Carrie Handle podcast. Here's your host, Bryce and Kevin.
Welcome back to the Carrie Handle podcast with me. Oh, I'm Bryce. Yeah. See, I didn't fuck up the intro last time.
Hi, Bryce.
Too am Kevin.
Bryce.
Kevin's
Wait,
here
I'm
too.
not Bryce. I'm Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I am well. Only if we had a third musketeer.
But can I do the thing first?
Do the thing. Do the thing.
Jesus Christ.
God damn it. Do the thing.
You've done this as many times as I have. All right. Without further ado, I'd like to, wait, no, there is more further ado. So I'm going to thank friends of the channel. Don't worry. I can do this. Friends of the channel, first and foremost, is my wife, Hannah, for putting this show together effectively. I mean, without her, we couldn't do this show. Thank you, sweetheart. Second up, we have Hammy 3D prints, thousands of products for firearm storage and other fun stuff. These are discount codes, by the way, and we get it's 10% off. We don't get kickbacks. These are just really cool. Friends of the channel. We've had Hammy on before. He's always a hoot. You should go make fun of him for liking scars. And that discount code is Carrie Handle, or for 3D printing stuff, but that's a different thing. Carrie Handle 10 for whatever. He makes storage mounts, kill flashes, mag wells, whatever you can imagine out of plastic. He probably can make it for you. And then next up, we are Tardo. Oh, shit. The thing again. Kevin just wrote a thing on a card and he's being a dick now. He made me Ron Burgundy. 19 Charlie Tactical, gunsmithing kydex holsters, thousands of drop ship gun parts, accessories, tools, etc. Mike's our boy over there. He also been on the show. Friend of the show, obviously. If you have an AK, G3, whatever thing you need unfucked, built, or modified, he's your boy. He's our Texas buddy. And that's Mike over at 19 Charlie Tactical. Another 10% discount is the Carrie Handle 10 for 10% off, as I've previously stated. I'm really good at this. Don't worry about it. Last but certainly not least is our Maryland Sling Boys. Eastern Shore Sling Company, handmade rifle slings and custom sewing dog leashes too. We need to talk to them about getting cat stuff because that's clearly the superior pet. And that is Carrie Handle for 10% off. Both Kevin and I have the 550 cord Rhodesian brushstroke slings that we love oh so very much. And Kevin, I think, is telling me to get to the point. So go support them, and that is Carrie Handle for 10% off. So we have a third with us today. Once again, we have Mr. Hop from previously Hop Lopafile. Wait. Hi, Hop. How are you? Thank you for coming on.
It's great to be live with some stone-cold professionals such as yourselves.
Tell us the right way to say it.
Really.
We've been saying it wrong for so long.
Yes,
so it's Hoplafile. It's
Hoplafile.
It's a really complicated pun. It's one of those things where once I explain it fully, the best reaction I can hope for is that you'll groan and be like, "Oh, that's stupid." So I generally just leave it as like, yeah, it's just a deliberate misspelling of the term Hoplafile, which means somebody who likes weapons. Unfortunately, the internet seems to think that the suffix file means something like arouses you. You're like, well, have you heard of the phrases audiophile, cinephile? These are people who get really into like the nitty gritty of movies and movie making, or like people who obsess over hi-fi equipment or whatever. Those people, I hope, are not actually having sex with the stereo. But when you introduce weapons into the mix, immediately everybody's like, oh, so you want to fuck guns, huh? It's not what that
There's
means.
more
but
holes
okay.
on a gun than a stereo.
Just the sizes are all wrong.
You can
not for these people.
You can fuck a gun, just not at 5.
Yeah, but then everybody gets all mad at you for it. It's no justice in this world.
Always sticky.
Does it gum up the action?
Oh God! All right.
Well, if it's a skin, get in there, dude.
Okay. All right.
So,
yeah.
Jesus
Christ. So for the 5 dudes that may not know who you are, would you mind giving just a brief introduction to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'm a gun YouTube guy. I started off mostly interested in retro pistols because I thought rifles were a waste of time, and then I got into rifles and stuff, and now I do the whole gamut. So I'm trying to get more into long-range shooting, but really anything else that you can do with a rifle, like optics, lasers, night vision, just the general ergonomic setup, reviews of new products, historical videos about old products. I like it all. I'm interested in the entire hobby or industry or whatever you want to call it. I know people get pissed off when you call it a hobby because they're like, it's not a phase, mom. But yeah, I like it all. I like, as the name suggests, I like weapons. I think they're interesting.
Okay.
Indeed.
All right. So
Indeed.
were you, I mean, did you start like when you were very young liking guns, or was this like later in life, or how long have you been doing the YouTube thing specifically?
So I've been doing YouTube for several years, but I only quit my day job and went full-time YouTube probably about 4 years ago, I think. Maybe not even quite 4 full entire years, but um, yeah, was not raised with guns at all. Like not a home with guns, never really shot a gun or anything like that. But one day after school, I went over to a friend's house and they had GoldenEye on the N64. And I'd never played N64 or GoldenEye or anything like that. And I ran around the level for 20 minutes, finally picked up a PP7, got 2 shots off before I was killed. But I was like, man, that was pretty cool. So that was the point where I started getting interested in firearms, I think.
That's so wholesome.
There it
But
is.
also when I was younger, I think you've seen the meme where those eyewitness books, the big white rectangular books that have all there's the knights in armor, the Civil War weaponry. I had that whole series. My mom probably got them for me, and I devoured those things. And there's a pretty strong correlation between having those books when you're a kid and growing up and getting interested in some weird niche hobby.
Can confirm.
Well, so what was the driving force behind getting onto YouTube specifically?
I don't know. I've just always ever since I was a kid, I've been interested in making videos about stuff. I used to make stop motion G.I. Joe animation videos with one of my cousins using a high 8mm camera.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was just something we did. Yeah, we were little kids, and I was like, this is fun. I just like making videos about stuff. So I think it's just sort of my natural tendency would be to whatever hobby, whatever thing I'm interested in working on, I'm thinking of I should make a video about this in some way.
Okay. So just like a creative outlet, something to produce.
Yeah, it's a sheer arrogance of I have a thought, and I really, really need to tell people this thought.
I like that.
But if I just tweet it, then it'll be gone in a minute. Nobody will ever know.
Hey,
so I have to make a video so people are forced to watch it for 10 minutes and absorb my thoughts.
You
right.
Hey, you at the gas station, listen to this awesome thought. Wow, that was a great thought. Okay, great. Have a great day. Bye.
I need stronger validation than that.
Give
I
me
need
likes.
metrics, damn it.
Metrics.
The metrics.
Well, and then you started the YouTube channel mostly reviewing Astras and stuff like that, or what was did you have a blueprint going in, or?
Not exactly. I mean, I've been watching a lot of old gun YouTube, so Nut and Fancy, Such, all those original guys. And so yeah, I didn't really have a specific template. I didn't have a specific way that I presented this stuff, or even necessarily a strict theme. It really just was, I was getting into guns. I had a real job, so I could buy guns that I'd always wanted to buy. And so it was sort of whatever came across my plate. So some of that was old guns that I was interested in. A lot of that was Spanish pistols. I like stars. I have a pretty good star collection. But also some of that was just pistols that I was interested in trying out. So one of the first videos that I did, which I think is offline now, although you can still find a copy of it somewhere, was a Taurus TH9 review, where that gun was brand new at the time. I was interested in trying out a new gun that was kind of more affordable, and I ended up putting about 5,000 rounds to it and doing a review. And because nobody else, it seemed like, was actually going to give it a fair shake. Either they were going to just say they write it off because it's a Taurus, or that it was an obvious shell review where they shot 200 rounds through it in an afternoon and said, this thing is a game changer. So I was like, I could do a real, because I've been shooting this thing. So yeah, I mean, that's mostly handgun focused, just because that's what I initially thought was the most interesting. I was like, well, handguns are the real thing that you may actually use to defend your life, whether in public or in the home or something. Therefore, anything beyond handgun seems like kind of a logical leap. So I started off just thinking only handguns are really, truly interesting from the civilian firearms perspective. But I've obviously changed my tone on that quite a lot.
Right. What
Yeah.
was that? Was that like a political shift or like a societal shift, or was that just you going, rifles are kind of neat?
Yeah, I guess it was. I think I
You don't
still,
have to
if you
like
ask, if you really,
lay it out exactly. I'm just
if you
curious.
really hold my feet to the fire, like I would still probably tell you that like it is kind of insane for most of us, almost any of us, to bother with anything more than, uh, you know, a shotgun, a deer rifle, and a handgun. Like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. After recent events, last couple of days, I would love to tell you that nothing ever happens, but maybe sometimes
Right.
stuff
Right.
happens. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, you're not gonna. I get those comments all the time, and I can't really disagree with them. I'm showing off like a rifle that's set up for night vision, and it's got like an LPVO and a piggyback dot, and people are like, "This is sociopathic behavior." What do you mean night vision? You're a civilian, and there's no chance that in your lifetime you'll ever use this rifle and not incur an immediate felony charge. Like, it's just
Right.
insane. And I got to admit, yeah, that's kind of insane. But once you breach that last line, where you're like, okay, well now I'm going to start preparing for extreme hypotheticals. Then nothing's off the table at that point, which is why we get into stuff like civilian belt feds. Like at some point, you're like, what, if the situation goes badly enough that I actually need an AR-15, then I need the whole AR-15. I need a 3-position. I need
Yeah.
a night vision setup. Like, yeah. So you can really,
I mean, yeah.
the
No.
slope is slippery, and I have slipped.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
agree. Like once you need
I
it,
think
like
Kevin and
you
I
need
had a
it.
similar. It was like a similar thing. We were like, "Oh, well, there's no real reason to be into rifles or anything like that." And then we're like, "Hmm, maybe if we really need if we need a gun, maybe we need a really big gun, and then maybe it's best if it has a lot of bullets and we know how to use it." Seems like the logical the logical
I
track
mean,
for
I feel
me
like
anyway.
that, it's like if you're talking about like you build all these cool guns and stuff. You're right. If the situation dictates that you need something like that and your plate carrier, all this other stuff that you've accumulated, then things have gone tits up pretty fucking bad. And the rule of law probably isn't going to be nearly as punitive as one would imagine in that
Well, Nothing
scenario.
Fancy has taught us there's a without rule of law. Okay.
Well, those are old terms. We're using newer ones now. It's low
No.
probability of armed conflict and high probability of armed conflict. So
low
LPAC and HPAC.
I like
Honestly,
that.
it sounds like something from Tom Clancy, and I'll have none of it.
What about
That's
mid-pack? What about
nonsense.
M-pack? Is there an M-pack, a mid
A
probability?
medium probability.
A medium
If
probability?
you find yourself in that, if you find yourself in that little narrow niche, then you have to prepare for both simultaneously, which is actually much more difficult. Should have just jumped right to HPAC.
Oh god. Well, so I remember watching your videos of like the older like handguns and some of the earlier red dots, like the Bushnell videos and stuff where you're talking about, entry level, kind of more level headed I don't know, purchases for firearms owners. And I mean, I hasten to say budget because I don't know if that's necessarily at the time there was either aim point or a Bushnell, so you didn't really get anything in between. So for listeners, this would have been a little bit ago then. I don't know.
Yeah, the optics conversation is never as much about budget as the handgun thing. Like, I really
Yeah.
love budget handguns because, yeah, again, like I think that the history of civilian firearms ownership has overwhelmingly been about handguns because that's what has ever actually been used. It's the only thing that's
Right.
ever actually really mattered in history. Now we can speculate about what could matter in the future, but like if you go back to, through American history, most of the time the interesting thing that you could read about is civilian defensive pistol, carrying pistols, having, handguns in the home or whatever. So I start by being interested in handguns. And then I say, well, what's more interesting? The unicorn that only like the top 0.1% of people could ever afford, or the Taurus that almost any household in America could probably buy. So I'm like, okay, that's way more interesting. That's, it's like the most interesting parts of history is studying. There's a great Lindy Beige video about this. I don't know if you know him. Great YouTuber who does history, stuff. And he has this video which is about the history of beds. And he's like, this is such an innocuous little subject. It's just, beds, bedrolls, straw mattresses, whatever people would have slept in through the last millions of years of history. Nah, it's not. Humans aren't that old, probably. Anyway, the history, the history of the human race is
Yeah.
30% bed.
Yeah.
It's so important, despite being so innocuous and so, relatively attainable for everybody. So I think that's why I find it so interesting to do budget handguns. Optics is one of those things where I feel like we're just now writing the history of optics, because for the most part, they were so expensive throughout a lot of history that they probably just were not even on the table for most people. So, maybe it'll be fun for people, the age of like our children sometime in the future to look back and be like, look at this fascinating, Sig Romeo 5. What an amazing watershed moment for, the gun industry. But right now, yeah, you look back and you're like, there were optics that nobody could afford, and then optics that everybody had, which were like, fixed power deer scopes or whatever. They're really, the old history of optics is not as fun. I think it's the recent history that's becoming very interesting.
Well, I remember seeing a couple
that's a
of your
good
videos
point.
on like strike eagles and stuff like that, and that was like the next like attainable bit of glass, and then it was the next steps up from there. But I always remember just being kind of disheartened. It was like, okay, well maybe I'll just get a hollow sun and a magnifier, because it seems like the LPVOs are just kind of meh. But now you can get like $300 primary arms that are almost, I mean, they're not as good, mind you, but I mean, they're pretty good 1X, decent 6X, they're okay.
Yeah, it's
I
been
mean,
very, very recently that I think you can start to recommend budget LPVOs. Because that was often a kind of a complaint I guess I would have, is that people were like, I really, really want an LPVO setup for my rifle, but I don't want to spend more than $250. And you're like, $250 is going to get you the mount and a couple turret caps, man. Like, unfortunately, the most basic, decent quality LPVO was already way beyond the budget of a decent red dot, especially after Sig Romeo 5 and Hollow Sun started coming out. And it's like, wait for a sale and you can get basically the best red dot you could get in the current year for like $110. And like the next step above that is 900. So like you have the second best red dot and you saved $800. That's an an outrageous deal.
So
But
when,
LPVOs didn't benefit from that same shift until more recently. Now you get like the Vortex Venom 1-6 is a incredibly good piece of budget glass. But before that was the Strike Eagle Gen 2, which was still a little flawed, and before that was the Strike Eagle Gen 1, which was pretty bad.
it's an interesting how much it's like leaped forward, like outpacing. It's like red dots kind of outpaced it, and now LPVOs are starting to slowly catch up to that trend. That trend.
Yeah, I would think that the relatively attainable nature of the red dot made it the first thing to get the attention. But then people, again, they started saying, well, what if I don't just need an AR? What if I need an AR because that guy's far away? And then
Right.
you're like, okay, now we got to add some magnification to this. And then that's when magnifiers and LPVOs start getting more interesting. And once the market interest is there, then the companies are incentivized to work a little harder for your dollar. And that's good. It makes it better for us.
Well, so do you think magnifiers have benefited from that kind of budget? Like, I mean, because you've always had like the EOTechs and the aim point magnifiers, but now you see the Trigicons and
And
all of the
Hollow Sun,
Hollow Suns.
and they
I
sell
mean,
them as like packages now too.
yeah.
Yeah, well, for magnifiers, I wonder if there's a bit of a ceiling on magnifier technology. One thing that I noticed when I started comparing a lot of magnifiers is they were all exactly the same. Like, people would get really wrapped around the axle about which magnifier they were getting, and you're like, they'd be worried about glass quality and build quality and all that stuff. And I was looking at all these things and like, they're all the damn same. And then Brassfex, I think his most recent video talks about how they are all the same. There's only one company. It's like a Korean company that makes all the magnifiers in the world.
That explains a lot of what I've suspected, at least with the mounts, the side mounts. I'm like, this Vortex one looks a lot like everybody
Yeah.
else's.
Yeah, there's like one brand of magnifier and two brands of magnifier mount. Like it really is not as diverse as you might think. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that magnifiers can do? I feel like the magnifiers already pretty good at what it is trying to be. LPVOs, you can start, asking for stuff like I want more information in the reticle, or I want brighter illumination, I want better glass quality. I still have, a Holosun magnifier, I think, has perfectly acceptable glass quality. The EOTech magnifiers are pretty good. The Juliet magnifiers are right up there. Again, they're all the same magnifier, so they better be, you know. So maybe when you get into technology like the new SIG 8T AMR with the system, they're adding functionality to the magnifier red dot pairing. But yeah, magnifiers seem like they're kind of done. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be eating those words pretty soon. But it just seems like magnifiers, there's a ceiling on what a magnifier can do, and it got reached relatively early on. Because the only thing that I don't like about the Holosun magnifier is that if you beat the shit out of it, the mount gets loose. But if you do that, then Holosun will probably replace it for you. Otherwise it's got a nice long body. It's 3x, which is fine. The glass quality's fine. Like everything about it is pretty damn good. And that's one of the, it's like $200 magnifier. You could spend $500 something on an EOTech magnifier that doesn't come with a mount, and you get basically nothing for your dollar at that point.
Yeah.
I remember
think
growing up with the pictures of the ACOGs with the EOTechs in front of them, and that's always been peak for me. I am simple man.
Here we are with our cheap vortexes.
I hated that thing.
Dude, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die with that vortex on my rifle.
I think he keeps it out of spite.
Which
vortex?
The micro 3X. We got the first, when they
It's funny
first
you should
came
ask,
out.
Cop. I actually have the box right here.
But that's a great magnifier.
Thank you,
The
Hop.
magnifier wasn't the problem. I hated the
Okay.
mount because no matter how much I cranked on it to actually get it to sit on the mount or
But
on the
wait.
rifle or on the rail, it would jump. Like it would just go tunk, tunk, tunk,
What?
like when I'd be dry
Oh, wow.
firing, no matter what I did. Now, I probably was overreacting when I got rid of it.
You were.
I got an LCO in trade, so I count that as a win.
But wait, let me show you what's in my box.
As a grievous loss.
I keep all my Allen keys in the box too.
Oh, there you go.
With a different red dot.
Hey, shut up. We don't talk about that red dot. And we don't talk about the strip screws. We don't talk about the strip screws.
Oh, you stripped more screws.
All right, I got some really serious advice that I think anybody who's going to get into guns needs to hear.
Let's hear it.
Buy a couple really good Allen key sets, like expensive. Weha is a great brand.
Yeah.
It's German tools. They're phenomenal. Or Wera, Wera, which is like Czech or something. I don't know, whatever. Those guys are like
Czech.
basically as good. Get a really good set of Imperial and metric hex keys.
Not
and then
Wheeler.
Don't ever use the free shit that comes in the optic box or the accessory box ever again. And always use the right. Put your hand down.
Put your head down, damn it.
Always use the right size. I've destroyed more accessories than I care to admit because I stick like the metric one in and I'm like, oh, this clearly is Imperial because it doesn't quite fit. But my Allen key's all the way over there. I'm just going to go for it. And if it starts to strip, I'll notice. And then you never notice.
Kevin's blind to something that's about to strip. He'll be like, well, I don't know why it's not turning and there's no socket left.
No. The last time I
He's
stripped
lacking
something,
machine empathy.
The last
There it
time
is.
I stripped something was on the P365, and
That's your problem right there.
I wallered it out good. I take it to the gun store guy, and he takes one look at it. He's like, "Huh, that's stripped." He's like, "Who tried to fix it?" I'm like, "Me with a dream." He's like, "Huh, you failed." I'm like, "Yeah, I know I failed." Anyway, he gives
Was
it.
there.
Yeah.
I was there.
He gives it to his gunsmith, and he tells his gunsmith, easiest $50, you're going to make today. And I overhear this, and I'm shopping around. I find a box of 20 round mags, P bags, bought those for $100 because why not? And then he gives me the thing back when the screw out and everything. And I'm like, hey man, how much, do I owe you $50 for this, taking the screw out, thinking that, I owe him $50. He's like, no, what? No, you're fine. I'm like, oh. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh. He's like, yeah. All right, cool. Thanks.
Kevin should
Great
write
guns.
books.
It's one of the coolest gun stores I've been to in a while. He's just like, yeah, sure. Like, we'll fix it. You idiot.
$50 for 45 seconds of work would be a bit of a steep charge, I think.
I would have paid it. I was at my
Paying
wits'
for the
end.
expertise.
And mind you, I'll tell the viewers and listeners and the spiritual metrics out there, or mediums, if you will. I have not put a dot back on the 365. I'm terrified of. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. I can run it irons. It's fine. I'll run my RXM Brownells Cobblepot Glock. One
I love
nine
his nickname for
407.
guns. That's
So
Well,
I
it's a
know this
cobble.
will. I can confess to something that will freak out some of my more savvy friends, but like I have never used a torque wrench when assembling an AR. I don't use a torque wrench for anything, and I've never never really stripped anything on the install process. It's really just like if something is tightly installed and I try to get it off with the wrong tool. But like I don't know, I don't
How
know
many
why.
things have come loose?
Nothing ever does. Which makes
All
me
right.
think that people who are, I get all this complaint all the time. People are like,
Yeah.
well, it's nice that you trust an M-LOK weapon light mount, but I would never, because M-LOK comes loose and 1913 attached stuff does not. And I'm like, man, you must fucking suck at M-LOK, because it straight up does not come loose if you've installed it correctly. And I think a lot of that is people using the torque wrench, but then getting
Yeah.
spooked, and they err on the side of low torque, and their torque wrench is like
Oh.
one of those Wheeler fat wrenches, which is, the torque spec window is
20
the size
pounds
of a
way
Mack
too
truck.
heavy.
Yeah, so they're basically like, they get it barely below torque spec, and they're like, oh, I'm worried I'm going to strip it. So they stop right there, and then it falls off, and they're like, oh, M-LOK's untrustworthy. It's like, no, what you do is you use your fingers, and your fingers have a built-in torque limiter. If it starts to hurt, that means
Yeah.
you're putting too much torque into it, and you can stop then.
I like that.
I have
Consumer
another.
Report.
I have a funny M-LOK story. I think Bryce knows this story already.
All right. In his defense, I think I
Wait.
was not paying attention.
Well, let me tell this story. So I actually have the grip here. Funny enough, I have it on my table. I put this AFG on the.
Never mind. This is an audio
I don't feel like.
podcast.
I don't feel like. Well, I put an AFG on my AR Midwestern
On your lower?
Industries.
Yeah, usually the
bless.
AFG attaches to the upper.
It's a real Magwell grip all along.
All right, I put the AFG on my upper, and I put it right where the gas block was. I didn't realize that I was torquing the M-LOK, so I ever so slightly adjusted my barrel. I didn't
No,
notice
it
this.
wasn't ever so slight.
It was
Kevin.
it was pretty obvious, but I zeroed.
Dude, it was an eighth of an
I
inch.
zeroed-
He had jacked the
I
barrel up
zeroed
into
for
the
that
angle.
adjustment, so it was actually I had it zeroed for that adjustment. And Bruce
It
was like,
was zeroed. That is
dude,
true.
why is your barrel so fucking high? I'm like, oh, he's like, oh my god,
Well,
oh my god.
He would send me pictures of how he set his rifle up just to irritate me. And so whenever I saw him, I had to unfuck whatever he did, because for a while he was my resident FUD. And he's since grown and
Well,
matured.
The AR rifles he would help me unfuck. The AK
AR
rifle,
rifles, he said.
the AK rifle he would just continuously break.
Yeah, that was a separate problem. That rifle didn't like me very much.
Why don't you tell him how you snapped the stack?
I didn't snap the stock. We shot it and it was a piece of shit welded stock. It cracked when we were
What?
shooting it.
I'm sorry. What AK was that? It was highly recommended to me by someone.
I did
In-
highly
in my
recommend
conf-
a Riley
in my
defense.
confidant.
That is true.
I was like,
It's probably
wow.
a bad idea.
I'm like, wow. I really want an AK brace. What should I get? Oh, I should get the Riley. Are you sure
You
it's a
should get
good
that
one?
thing that looks like a triangle.
Oh, that's
folder.
cool.
It'll be
Nothing but
fine.
fucking headaches. I bled
It's
on
so
it.
bad.
I
Sounds
It
like
went
you
open
guys have
bolt
some-
for a while.
Some baggage to work through.
He also spitefully bought a 357 SIG Glock 31 because he knew I wanted one, and then I
Oh,
no
yeah.
longer wanted one after I shot his, which is funny because he did it as like rage bait, and then I was like, no wait, I don't want this.
Well, no, I shot it first, and I was like, oh, that's.
know.
I'm like, oh, that's terrible. And then he shoots it, and I only had. By the time he got to shoot it, I only had 13 rounds left because I'm not made of money. So I said, fuck it. I kept the 13 rounds in the mag. I'm like, here you go.
Just
I'm like,
so I understood.
I'm like, go nuts. And he shoots
We
it.
did get
like,
high speed of it though.
I'm like, how's it feel to shoot $30 of ammo? He's like, gross.
Yeah, it was pretty
357
gross.
SIG is one of those cartridges where the story that's told about it online makes it sound like this, fucking hot rod cartridge, and then you shoot it and you're like, oh, this is actually quite stupid.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and then even when you look at like ballistic, all right, yeah, say what you will about ballistic gel reports, but I like having empirical data, and empirically, it doesn't seem to perform that much better than like 124 grain plus P. So it's like, okay,
It's always been my argument against it. Because people say it shoots just like 9. It doesn't. And they're like, and it performs like 357 Magnum. It's like, it fucking doesn't, man.
Definitely doesn't.
It shoots
None
like
of that is true.
like a fucking hot 40 and feels terrible.
It's like a little upset. It's mad at you.
And then there's like increased muzzle blast that you don't normally have to deal with handguns. It's a very unpleasant cartridge that really
just
doesn't
like
need to exist.
357 Magnum. It's very unpleasant to shoot.
And then if there's those like, those easy to dispute or disprove arguments where people are like, well, the tapered case improves reliability. And you're like, yes, those famously unreliable 9mm Glocks that we've had to get rid of.
Don't tell them about 9 Luger.
Is
and its tapered case. I'll tell them.
Speaking of Glock, it reminds me of another fun story where I shot a Glock 22 police train until the slide cracked a little bit. And then I sold it right back to the pawn shop because it was almost a hand grenade. Oh, wait, that really did happen. I'm a menace
Hopefully
to
they didn't catch
society.
it.
They did not.
Hopefully that gun is still out there in circulation.
I sincerely hope, because what I do is I play dumb. I just let them tell me what they think it is, and I just
really
agree.
lends to the credibility of the podcast, I think.
I just agree
just
to
our open and willingness to share terrible things we've done.
I'm sorry. Raise your hand if you've sold a one-of-a-kind gun.
Kevin, just because they couldn't find the piece of shit Turkish Glock clone that you sold them back doesn't make it special. He bought a Fusion Firearms Glock clone and they couldn't find it.
Also, you're raising your hand again on an audio-only podcast.
I know. Why does he do this?
I assume
this is not your first episode, from what I've heard.
What the fuck? He literally does this every week. He's a menace, I swear. Also, he stripped... Now, that one wasn't broken. He just stripped the screws on it. Again. He has a... He's... I think his hands are numb, maybe?
And
I'm not sure.
There's a problem. Some people just don't... Again, it's machine empathy. They don't have the machine empathy. Or you ever see like a woman try to figure out how to open or close blinds, and she just can't do it? And it's so easy to do it. All you got to do is just pull the cord at a slightly different angle, and just, women don't have the ability to do that. And probably some men also. Maybe there's an IQ bell curve.
I was going to say, I've seen some shooters
how'd you know
at the
I
range,
have girlish like hands, Hop? That's crazy.
Because you keep raising them on this audio-only podcast. I've seen your hands like 20 times.
Look, I am a fucking Chinese camera, and I have to auto-sync the camera. I don't choose
that what you've been doing?
Yeah, I don't choose the goddamn gestures.
Oh,
I
forgot.
Have.
He has an AI thing where that's how he zooms. I thought you were being dumb. Oh, yeah.
It still doesn't make a lot of sense, again, on an audio-only podcast.
Yeah, he's zooming for our benefit here.
Well, I want
he's doing these dramatic, like he's mugging for the camera, but there is no camera. You got to pretend the camera's not there since nobody else can see it.
It's not real,
Kevin.
What?
If you're gonna make a hilarious facial expression in reaction to something, instead just say boing, because that'll get the idea across a little better.
Holy shit!
Wow, tips from the master himself.
Well, anyway, I'm not getting invited back.
Well, yes, you are. Oh, yes, you are, sir.
We'll just turn Kevin's fucking video off.
You do it.
Or just start doing audio or like video episodes where it could be like a Patreon perk or something. Like pay extra and you can see the complete nonsense that happens during the recording
then you can look at
process.
this unnecessary galleon or whatever kind of ship this is behind me that my mom gave me. I think it's pretty baller.
It is pretty cool.
If we ever did a video podcast, I want lore to be made of that painting.
You guys aren't going to see it this time because this one's audio only, but Kevin is taking his pants off.
It's true.
And now his underwear, his whole cock and balls are out right in front of us. I didn't ask to see that. This is
no one. Well,
this is incredibly violative.
Pop, if you read the email that we sent you, it said
you haven't
nude
said
only.
no. You clearly didn't check the fine
said
print.
Nudes
He's
only.
not denying it.
Of course, I'm not denying it. My balls and cock.
Fine print was in the words, in the name. Oh God. All right, so
anyway, you guys like guns and stuff, or
I was gonna bring that back real quick. So you mentioned you mentioned 007 or Goldeneye before. Was that like your first like actual like you were like, guns are that's kind of my thing, or was it just shooting games in general of that general age?
Yeah, I think GoldenEye was the first like shooter game that I played, because before that, a lot of, I don't know, a lot of the shooters in the 90s were so gory that like no self-respecting parent would let their kids anywhere near them. So like obviously I wasn't playing Doom. I think I probably had Chex Quest, which came free in a box of cereal. Love that game. It's amazing.
I played Shadow the Hedgehog. You could get guns in that.
You go. Yep. I think I was slightly too old to appreciate Shadow the Hedgehog when it came out. I think at that point I was like, oh, I'm so above this. But yeah, no, like mostly when I was a kid, I played like simulation games and stuff,
Mhm.
strategy and like Mech Warrior stuff like that. So yeah, GoldenEye probably was the first like first person shooter that I ever played that had actual real guns in it. You know, anything with sci-fi, it's hard to get too attached to the fucking plasma Zorcher in Chex Quest 1. Like,
Right.
it looks like a Theragun and it shoots blue balls of lightning. That's not the sort of thing that sparks a lifelong interest. But GoldenEye certainly, and then after that, Rainbow Six, Rogue Spear, Counter-Strike, the original
Yep.
Counter-Strike 1.0, like all those things that have real guns with
Yes.
real like nerd stats to get into. I love telling people about
Yes.
how I got one of the expansions for Rogue Spear. I think it's Urban Operations or Covert Ops or something like that. It has 3 Desert Eagles. It has all 3 calibers of Desert Eagle. This is a game that doesn't need 1 Desert Eagle, and it has 3. It's got them in 357, 44, and 50 AE with different sound effects.
Oh, that's cool.
They all look the same because in Rogue Spear you have no gun on screen, so they all look like nothing. They don't exist essentially. But you can
like
still
the
get the
original
sense for
Rainbow
'em.
Six games.
Yeah, just you have
Yeah.
no gun on screen. You can see
Yeah.
it kind of in third person. You can see it in the loading screen. That's basically it. But even so, as a budding young gun nerd, I'm like, ooh, this mission calls for the 357 version. Stupid bullshit like that.
Nice.
They had I think they had the 10 millimeter FBI MP5 as well as the 40 cal version, if I remember correctly, in Covert Ops. Maybe
That's-
I'm bullshitting that out of my butthole, but I do seem to remember that they had way more variants of gun than were required for a game that doesn't show you the guns.
I had the same opinion of Rainbow Six. Like, I didn't know what the 10 millimeter MP5 was until I saw there was a non-curved mag and it looked kind of funny. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And like, you could change all these guns, but they all have the same exact sound effects. You do, and you die. Well, I died a lot because I was terrible at that game.
Yeah,
And
Did
there
you
was
ever play
very little reason to do anything in Rainbow Six other than take the default loadout, which I think is an MP5 SD or something, whatever it
Yep.
is.
well, I always felt I would feel bad after that because the NPCs had permadeath. They were permanently deaf, if you didn't know that, but they would die and then never come
well, it's all
back.
the
So it'd just be
gunfire,
somebody else.
obviously.
I'd be
Yeah,
like,
if you sucked at the
"Aw."
game by the end of it, you're on the last mission, the hardest mission, and your squad is put together of like one third string demo guy that you don't like very much, and the rest is just assault recruit, assault recruit, assault recruit.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
You're like, this
No
sucks. We're gonna
names.
die.
I got through the second mission with all recruits. Of course, I was also very young, and it was my dad. I'd have to wake up like early as hell in the morning to sneak down and play my dad's copy of Rainbow Six and kill. Effectively, now that I'm thinking about this, I think I ruined every save that man had.
Jeez.
Nice.
He
Did you
never
ever
talked to me
play,
about it though.
You ever played Ghost Recon?
Yeah.
I remember I actually playing the AI out so well. I got so good at planning the AI missions out. I had acceptable losses, and I would sit in my undies and eat my cereal as the mission played out on the screen.
That
And,
was actually, that's one of the things they wanted you to do in Rainbow Six was plan a complete mission and just go observer mode, watch it
Yeah.
play out. And all you did was call the go codes to initiate stages.
Yeah, I did that for Ghost
Such a cool
Recon.
thing.
I got pretty damn good at it. I'm like, wow, this is how you play this game. Well, I'm bored.
Is it
Anyway,
Wild? What's the new one? Wildlanders or not new, but is it
Breaking
Badlands? I
Point?
think.
Wildlands and
Thank you.
Breaking Point.
Breakpoint, yeah. That was one of the first pieces of content that Brock and I ever put on the Nova Group channel, which is our like third channel full of extra bullshit. Initially, basically started as a place for us to put little like gaming highlight reels that we did. And I think the first series of videos it probably is
It is
Breakpoint. Yeah. And it's,
Nice.
it's insane. We were not paying attention to that game. We have this problem. I'd say mostly it's a Brock problem, not my problem. Brock refuses to read words on screen because it's just too difficult.
I have the opposite problem.
So we're just like, I have no idea what's going on. We skipped all the briefings, all the cutscenes, all the tool tips have been ignored, and then we're dying for some reason. We're mad at it. We're like, why is this game so hard? It's like, well, because you don't know how to play it. Because you didn't pay any fucking attention to it.
Jeez.
It plays exactly like the Wildlands or whatever, the one that preceded it.
Well,
It's
remember
effectively the same
remember
thing.
the
Wildlands.
remember the dead
Yeah.
game that we played, Bryce? The Thunder Tier 1.
Oh, the top down. That was so good.
You guys should try. You should
I
try
love that
that one
game.
out, Hop. It's effectively a
fun.
dead game.
It's
So it
point
has
it's
no-
point and click, but
It's no further content upgrade, but it's free because it's a dead game. But it's top down. It's kind of like Door Kickers, top down,
Okay. Yep.
but you're covert ops
It's-
and you.
it's
It-
more
it's pretty
active
interesting.
control though. Door Kickers is you plan it all
Yeah.
out and then
Yeah,
in
you have
my
like
case, you-
active control. You have it's
you
it's
have
a
like a-
pretty fun little game.
yeah, if you like an awareness cone kind of thing, it's kind of cool. It's a little.
Did you ever play the Flash game series Endless War?
No,
on,
I was
like,
a thing
Newgrounds
man.
or something.
God, that sounds so familiar.
I was a
It
thing
was a
thing,
top-down shooter. All the
arena.
levels were single screen, and there were all these like guards. And when they saw you, they would just immediately rush at you and start shooting. And that was kind of like they're very, very basic AI. But there's all these little levels set up. and- Again, for like a gun nerd, it just had an insane number of guns. Even though it's a top-down shooter, so the only thing that can really matter is that every gun produces one big yellow tracer bullet when fired. And the only difference is going to be spread, rate of fire, magazine capacity. But like they would still go to the lengths of like, oh, this level you have a Pancor jackhammer. Oh, this level you have a USAS 15. You're like, they're basically the same fucking gun. Why'd you add them both to the game?
The reload
Like
time's
with Rainbow
slightly
Six,
different.
your game didn't need one shotgun, let alone two shotguns. So what are we doing here? But I fucking love those. There's like 3 of them. They're very badly translated. I can only imagine the developer was not an English speaker.
Did
Good
you guys
show.
ever play not Madness at all? Like or any
Madness
of the Madness
Combat?
mods?
Hell yes.
Hey, yes.
And the Madness
yes.
Combat Matrix mod.
Yes. The
Absolutely.
Madness World at War. There was a couple.
Or
but
Madness
they,
Interactive, sorry. Madness Combat's the name of the
Interactive,
series.
thank
Madness
you.
Interactive is the name of the game. The
Yeah,
side-scroller.
that was the animated series. But the HK mod and the Terror Assault Recon mod or whatever the hell it was, those had the most realistic gun like animations and things that just that and Thing and Thing Arena, which
Thing
I fucked
was
with
fucking
pretty hard.
cool.
Yeah.
I
See,
still
this
have my
is-
Thing master email.
I don't think I learned anything in middle school, but I definitely played a lot of Flash games.
I
Yeah.
used the hell out of that 5.7 in one of those Thing games till I realized it was poopy in real life, but that's okay.
Well,
It's
I
also
mean,
disappointing.
it
Did
was
you-
mean to, Russian
Yep.
armor
Well, I mean, not really.
on paper.
Not in
It
Thing
was-
Thing.
it-
Thing Thing is like more of a zombie survival situation than anything.
Yeah. So did any of those guns, I mean, in any of those games inform the things that you bought like today? Or do they inform anything? Because I bought a G36 just because I liked Bad Boys. Or Mission Impossible 3. Not Bad Boys. That's a UMP.
Maybe a little bit to some extent. The reason that I bought originally a PTR 51P, which is the 8-inch barreled 308 G3 pattern rifle, was because of a mod for Half-Life called Firearms Half-Life, which again just added a shitload of realistic firearms to Half-Life and some cool modes. And that game, that mod was pretty difficult. It was basically dead by the time I discovered it. It was pretty hard to play. So, there were like missions where you would parachute into a D-Day landing or whatever, in the Half-Life engine, which is pretty optimistic. But there were different classes and different abilities and all these different weapons. And one of them was not a 51, but the 51M, whatever, so the belt-fed conversion of a 51. And I always thought that was really cool. And then after that, I kind of like looked it up one day. I was like, was that a real gun? Or was that some hallucination that they came up with for the game? No, it's a real gun. And then it led me to the Fleming Firearms, HK 51K, I think is what they called it. And I was like, I got to get myself one of those because it's pretty cool. That was a nightmare. It was a waste of money. The gun barely worked. Then it killed itself. Then it still barely worked. And then I got rid of it. I sold it to an SOT in Washington. And I'm sure that they're having way more fun with it than I ever could. So
I think Fleming
I was
didn't
wondering
entirely
what
sup-
happened to it.
I think Fleming did an integrally suppressed G3 too. It was like I think it was a G3 SD or something like that. I don't remember.
Now, there's a guy in my Discord server who has been working on this platform. He loves G3 stuff too, and one of his builds is it's a HK33 clone with a suppressor, and then the Midwest Industries suppressor handguard that sort of shrouds the suppressor. So you can kind of make an SD version of almost any G3 pattern gun by just tucking the can, and it ends up like it's a terrible idea, and I hate the idea of it. I hate that he's doing this, but when he posts pictures of it, it's like, fuck, that looks really cool.
So cool.
And apparently it works pretty good. So man, maybe he's onto something there. But
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know. I kind of like goofy projects. I like the idea of it, but I also it annoys me, and the advice I always try to give people is a piece of Hulk Hogan advice, which is don't work yourself into a shoot. And it's really hard to explain to somebody what that means until they have worked themselves into a shoot, and then you tell them that, and they're like, "Fuck, I did, didn't I?" But if they haven't gone there yet, that advice is essentially worthless. But people, they backdoor themselves into all of these horrible situations where like they try so hard to achieve some terrible thing just because it struck their fancy. You know, they had this little spark of an idea one time and they got overly committed to it, and then they just ruin their life trying to pursue this thing. And they're like, this isn't very good. And you're like, yes, that's what everybody told you before you started.
Oh,
I feel like
man.
chasing the tail is like immensely better than actually chewing on it. It's like, you know, this is a lot more because I'm guilty of like, no, I can make this thing work. I can do a thing.
The
This totally
endless
makes sense.
conversations of Bryce's insanity can fill
See,
a
This
library.
is always better.
The best part about shopping isn't owning, it's shopping.
Exactly. Except I will buy all the things and then do it and then be disappointed when it's not really that very good at all. But then I'll just keep going and going and going and going and trying to make it work, but I won't. Yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing I run into all the time is this idea of like, if you're going to push the boundaries with a platform or with a gun build or whatever, you just should go all the way. You should not leave anything on the table, you know, which is kind of similar to this idea of like, well, if you're going to get a plate carrier, then you should have night vision in your future. You know what I mean? Like, it's just part of the same continuum. Like, if you're like, I need a plate carrier, I need a radio to talk to my buddies. It's like, well, you know what? Then you and your buddies also need night vision shit. Like, you know, it's part of the same package. So a lot of the times people will be like, I need to modernize this gun in a certain way. And I'll be like, it's a fucking waste of time and money because trying to mount like a usable laser to one of these things is impossible. And they're like, well, I don't mean like night vision modern. And I'm like, well, then you don't mean modern. Like, you don't even mean 1980s modern. Like, you know, night vision is barely even modern anymore. It's almost retro to set up a gun for basic, boring old night vision. Like, you should be going beyond that even, perhaps. So that annoys me. If my thesis statement for a video is like, it's really difficult to modernize this gun, and people say, it's not that hard, all you have to do is, and then they describe a gun that is not modern, I'm like, oh, wow. I wish I could reach through the screen and hit you right now, because that is extremely dumb.
Yeah, I remember some of your arguments for the AK and the G3. Obviously, we were talking about that, but I remember seeing in the comments, well, I've done this, and this to do this. And it's like, have you heard of an AR, my man in Christ? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So I have this new theory, this hobby that I'm working on. You know the meme, it's from Inglourious Bastards, where the guy gestures incorrectly in the bar, like he holds up the wrong three fingers.
Right.
And it's like, you heard the term shibboleth. Like, if you speak the right word, people immediately know that you know what you're talking about. Like, if you use the right phrase. This is like the inverse of that. You see stuff, like people will post really expensive Gucci drippy setups on Instagram. They'll get reposted by like every company tagged in the picture. You know, everybody's like, oh, that's so sick. That's a sick build, brother. I'd run that build, brother. But I will notice something on there and I'm like, holy shit, it's unusable. It's the fucking three fingers. I see that picture of the gun and I'm like, oh, that guy doesn't shoot, doesn't know what he's talking about. And if you ever saw him firing that gun in like live action, it would look comedic because it would be such a soup sandwich trying to get like his hand around the fucking, vert grip that's placed in the wrong position. You know, it's like, You have a tape switch under the bezel or under the bell of your scope. Like, you can't use it. And you don't notice a lot of that stuff if you're still kind of new to the hobby and you look up to people like this who have expensive gear with all the attachments. You're like, oh, that guy's fucking awesome. I want to do what he's doing. You're like, no, that guy is just sticking expensive stuff on there so that he can brag about owning it on the internet.
Yeah.
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 I know there's an Instagram guy that I'm not gonna name him, mostly because I don't remember who the fuck he is, but
If I
he just
remember who it
always
is, I'll
is
name
in
him.
front of like he'll do it. It's just an open, massive safe, and he's always got like the most. He kind of looks like he's like a bored uncle. Like he never had a kid, so like he has a lot of disposable income, and he always has like the most ridiculous guns, and he always poses in front of a safe, and it looks like none of those guns have ever been shot. It looks like somebody set them up for him, and all he did was like, "That's the Cerakote I want on it," and he always gets shared. Like, but he's saying nothing other than like walking over, doing like a flip, and like just kind of going, "This is the gun I'm using today," and then like off he goes, and I'm like, "That's fine," but like, I feel like the people with 2 brain cells are looking at this like John tactics right there. They've never seen his equal. Like it's
I
a little
rather
frustrating.
I rather own a clapped out fucking Bushmaster and put so many rounds through him, having to rebuild it a couple of times, or a clapped out Glock than some Gucci ass handgun.
During tootin'.
Because at least then I know my system, I know my weapon, and I know
Well,
thyself.
And one of the
I'm not-
simplest shortcuts to me pulling the the Inglorious Bastards card would just be Noveski of any kind. It's like I see Noveski in current year, and it's like it's a real tragedy what happened to that company. But like I see somebody post a Noveski, and I'm immediately like filtered. I don't care what you say. Nobody serious owns a Noveski, which is crazy because Noveski got its start because it was like the choice of the very serious professional, and now it's sort of like, go buy limited edition sneakers and wear them at the skate park or something, man. Like you're in the wrong industry for this.
Yeah. Well, I know, I at least for their barrels. I mean, I think their barrels. It was like their barrels went downhill, and then the rest of the company, aside for the other things that occurred with that company. But yeah, I don't know. When I heard when ARFCOM stopped recommending them for like Mark 12 builds, I was like, oh, this is the end. But you're actually, we were just talking about clapped out guns, but your video about ARs and rebuilding them into eternity spoke to me on a deep level, because I have also worn out the charging handle latch on mine, and it is now a 22 with a CMMG bolt in it.
See how like people worry, probably needlessly, but people worry about like the longevity of their barrel. In an AR, I think that's an insane thing to worry about for the most part because it's a cheap part and it's trivial to replace. Maybe on an AK, when you have to have like real shop equipment and a little bit of know-how, you want your barrel to last a long time. But then again, if you own an AK, you're not actually shooting, so why do we care what you think? So that kind of stuff, yeah, it's like you're worried about your barrel, which is an insane thing to do because, first of all, you don't shoot. But me, I'm worried about wearing out my receiver extension because I keep changing the handguard every couple of days, which is also insane. I'm not sticking up for myself. I'm saying, like, I've got my own demons to work through here, man.
You're slowly eating into the face, just like it's getting tighter and tighter.
I don't know, do you ever like do a timed barrel nut, like a GI barrel nut, or like some of the older handguards like ALG, where you have to time it properly in order to clock it with the gas tube?
Yep.
That I've got some upper receivers where it's been installed so many times that it has progressively clocked the natural resting position of the barrel nut beyond where I can use a timed barrel nut. So like I had a receiver that I rebuilt so many times that I could no longer use a GI barrel nut on it unless I started stacking shims. And I was like, all right, this one probably should go in the garbage.
The head space is becoming questionable at some point. The barrel.
But
just
what I'm
gets
saying
pushed
is
further.
that's bad. I'm using this as an example of what not to do.
I'm sorry. I thought this was good things. My bad.
I was taking notes, actually.
I know.
Damn.
I can get one more rotation out of it. I just need to keep shooting.
It's like people who don't understand
fine.
the concept of a review or whatever. Like I do some dumb shit and I'm like, this was some dumb shit. Or I review a product, people are like, why would you ever buy this? What are you, dumb? And I'm like,
yes.
Well, I'd like to think of myself as a professional, but yes, I'm professionally dumb. I have to pretend that things might actually be okay for once in order to get out of bed in the morning and buy a new product and review it. even though I know better.
Well, so do you
Fair.
consider yourself a product reviewer, or is it more of like a concepts reviewer? Because I don't necessarily see like strict product reviews rather than you talking about a thing in conjunction with other things or as they relate to other concepts. Like,
Probably about like 50-50, whereas I
Okay.
would say like, well, yeah, I don't know. I feel like most of my videos are a combination of both, I guess I should say. I fall somewhere in the middle, whereas maybe like Brass Facts, he would be like 50-50 with an extreme split. Either he's talking exclusively concepts or exclusively products, right? So he does a lot of very serious reviews, and they're all very clearly, it's a review of a product. It's packaged as a review of a product. I tend to get bored by the time that I finish a review of just a single product. I'm bored of just that product, and it's like, well, there's got to be more to talk about than that. So like, yeah, like if I talk about the Romeo 8T AMR, I'm going to spend most of the video talking about the concept of this genre of magnifier, type of thing, magnifier combos, and what you can do with magnifiers, what you can't do with magnifiers. But yeah, it's just also there's a bit of a concept borrowed from Nut and Fancy, which is where he'll do like a philosophy video, and then his later reviews will call back to it. So like now that I have a video out there where I just talked about my philosophy behind magnifier use, I can more easily, I think, in my mind, reference that, and I could kind of do a magnifier review. Magnifiers, very boring. We've been over this. They're all the same. Probably won't be reviewing those. But if I ever did, I could be like, and there's a video that you can watch about this.
Right. Like you don't
So-
have to
but
keep
yeah, it's also
rehashing
like-
the same bullshit.
So it kind of builds on itself. Like you do one and it builds on another and another. Okay.
Yeah, ideally. But then I guess it's just in general, most videos, just calling something product name -review, it's just not interesting to me anymore. And then just the packaging of every single video starts with me saying, hey guys, I'm out at the range with this product. I'm reviewing it now. That also kind of gets boring. So I tend to bury the lead a little bit. So there's probably a lot of videos that are essentially just reviews, but are kind of cloaked in the in a different thesis statement, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I always like the little sub reviews. You'd be talking about one product, and then I'm sure it'll come to me later, or you'll remember. But the drive by, like at like EOTech, it's like, oh yeah, well my theory is about like if you see it pop back up in tax swap, it's like there's a high purchase rate, but not a very high retention rate. That's always I remember that a couple times, but my favorite thing was the drive by on EOTech, even though I like them.
I know.
For
I'm one
video
of
game
like
reasons.
the biggest EOTech simps on the planet, and I stopped myself. They posted today, literally today in the year 2026, they posted a picture of the Voodoo 1-6 on Twitter, and they were like, the Voodoo 1-6 available now. And I was like, I really, really wanted to reply with, are you guys still fucking making this thing? Because it is their oldest and worst scope. Like it's got all sorts of problems, and it desperately needs an update. And it's like, I just want to be sarcastic. Whereas I love EOTech. I just don't like all their products.
Wait, are you not gonna get the new one? The
I can't
HD?
afford it. I can't afford $1,000
Dude,
red dot.
I'm saying.
Wait, you mean
I'm not even in aim point money, and those are only $900.
I know. I remember when they were 6.
Wait,
Better
the
days.
new EOTech that was
Sure.
designed by AI? That one?
Yeah, it does kind of look like.
I just think
I
the
think Brass
advertising
Facts
was
said
done
that.
by AI. I don't know if the actual optic was.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
like EOTechs. So
Yeah, he unapologetically
hold
does
on.
not like
let
them.
me caveat this. If I
I've
get
actually
into
shot with them, and I
if-
like them quite
if
a
I
bit.
get
I
into
just don't like
night
carrying
vision,
them.
if I get into night vision seriously, I would then consider an EOTech, seeing how that does pair nicely with night vision shooting. Beyond that, don't want EOTech.
I
There's
like
an
the single
argument
dot one.
to be made for EOTech. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the EXPS 3-1. I think it works very well just in general shooting. It works great under night vision. It works great magnified. I quite like it. But I think it is kind of interesting that a lot of other companies have tried to do holographic competitors, because there's cachet with that idea of like, oh, it's not a red dot, it's holographic. You're like, oh, that's different, that's special. It does have some real benefits, like the almost infinitely small center dot, the complete lack of tint and distortion. And then these competitors come out and they don't do the tiny dot and they don't do the lack of tint, and you're like, what the fuck? The whole
It's
point
just
was
a big
holographic.
blue optic.
Yeah, you just made a shitty holographic that's like, The first ever prototype model of EOTech from 1992 is better than your current competitor. How come nobody can do better than this? Is it possible that EOTech just was like, this is a completely solved piece of technology that it can never, ever get better in any way? Because even EOTech, the only improvement they ever made was to slightly increase battery life. And only slightly. It went from
Yeah.
400 hours to 800 hours. It's still pathetic.
Ooh, 800 hours.
But I mean, well, I guess in fairness to them, they doubled battery life.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll give them that. Yeah.
They just doubled it from pathetic or non-existent to pathetic. I mean, the comparison is not really impressive, but
I'm holding out hope for like a jailbroken EXPS3. You know how they have the add-on little battery caps for like LPVOs for the shake awake function? I'm
Yep.
holding out somebody will like jailbreak the EXPS3.
a shake awake EOTech battery cap. That should be almost trivial to accomplish. I mean, Primary Arms could probably do that if they really wanted to, and if they weren't afraid to piss off EOTech.
Well, it's fine. They'll be okay.
Daddy will, send people to your house and kill you.
What you do is you lay your rifle on its side on a table, and then you get one of those little drinking bird toys to just
there you
every
go.
once in a while press the up. Actually, you need two. One to press the up button, one to press the down button, so the brightness stays the same, but it never goes to sleep.
Cancels out. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Perfect. And then you pick it up and the battery's dead.
Yeah.
Well, so and then I guess I was going to ask you about TFB. When did you start doing stuff for the Firearm blog?
First thing I ever did for TFB was TriggerCon 2019. I was like, I'd just been hired for that. And that was based on, I was in their Discord and I had made a couple videos on my own YouTube channel, and James was doing research for a video about the Ruger P series, and he saw my old Ruger P series video. And he was like, hey, I saw that video. It's pretty good. I'm like, cool, thanks. And he's like, hey, if I ever have a job opening, I'll let you know. And I was like, cool, thanks. And like, I think it was like a day or two later, he was like, you know what? Fuck it. Why don't you just come work for me? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, the first thing was going to TriggerCon. And I had like zero confidence on camera. So I was there and all I did was hold James's camera for him. I did not do any interviews or anything like that. I just sort of like experienced what it was like to go to a show, a very small show. TriggerCon was never very big, and now I think maybe they stopped doing it. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. And then after that, it was sort of like, all right, well, part of the tryout process was, make a video for TFB just on, pretty much anything you want. And if it's good, then you get the job. If it's bad, then we'll try to work on it. And if you can't figure it out, then, well, good luck. But yeah, so that's the first video I think I ever did for TFB was about the Smith & Wesson 9VE, the old Sigma Value series. And that was like my tryout video. I was like, hey, not too bad. All right, welcome aboard. And then after that, I started actually getting like new products to review through TFB. And obviously, people have followed TFB or followed me. They know that I barely do anything for TFB anymore. Mostly I do show coverage for TFB, but I pretty much have a full schedule just doing my own channel at this point. So yeah, it's just like, SHOT Show. Luke and I will be going to NRAM again this year in a couple months, or probably a month away now. Shit. But yeah, mostly just shows.
Nice.
Okay, so was it ever for like, did you ever do written like articles, or was it just video as a video personality?
I always wanted to do written articles, and I've submitted some guest articles. A couple of them ran in T-Tag, actually, way before I think I even did, probably before or about the same time I was first starting my YouTube, like brand new to YouTube. I always really wanted to write more than I wanted to make video, but I think what I learned was that nobody reads anymore, and that was even before the explosion of AI-generated articles. So now there's not even any point to reading. Like, it's not even like, I wish I had time to read articles. It's like, what's the point? None of them are real. They're all full of the same boilerplate shit. So, yeah, it was sort of like, well, okay, I'll write the article that I would like to post, but if I actually want anybody to pay attention to it, I'm going to have to go ahead and add some video to it and then read the script to you. So a lot of my videos used to be 100% scripted. Like, I would write them as if they were an article, and then I would just read them and then put video on top. Now I think I'm a little better at making dedicated video. Like, it's meant to be video from the beginning, as opposed to just being hastily converted from a written, essay. But I'm sure I still have some of that 3-act or the 5-paragraph, school essay structure embedded in a lot of my videos because that's still the way that I think about stuff.
You should do
I know
a parody
I've seen
one.
a couple comments. We're in pickup truck or pickup bed hop season.
Yeah, it's like where do I want to spend the time? In a written like a video that's completely scripted, I spend a huge amount of time writing it and then I edit it together. Um, the recording process is very, very painless because it's a pre-written article, and then the editing process is a pain in the ass because I don't have anything to cut back to because there's nothing there. Whereas if I'm like doing one of those, sitting in the back of the truck bed and just kind of like trying to do free form, I have an outline of bullet points. So the preparation process isn't very long. The filming it is a pain in the ass because most of those videos start off as being like an hour long, and I cut them down to like the best 15 to 20 minutes. But then the editing process is a breeze because if ever I don't have a clip for something, I just cut back to me on the back of the truck bed, drinking a Monster and bullshitting. So I don't know. I like doing those videos, and people seem to actually like them better. So I think there might be something about the way that I write that people find really infuriating.
See, it's interesting you say that. I like the way you wrote initially, or I like the way your videos were structured initially. Now I hate them; they're terrible. No, I was kidding.
Yeah,
I
I've noticed
I'm
the drop off in quality myself.
I'm the
Yeah.
opposite. I like them now, but then again, I'm
I
not very
prefer
literate, so.
before. That's how it kind of felt. Was I was reading an article, there just happened to be some visuals, which I quite liked because it was. I mean, there's not a lot of people that are very good, like grammatically or even stringing a sentence together. A lot of people just struggle through it, or they'll use a big word and they're like, "That's it, we got it," and then that alone will make me tune out. But I mean,
Monopia.
Well,
why do
that's
you do
probably, I hate to paint with such a broad brush, but like again, I think there is a lot of gun YouTube is not people who have like presentation skills. Like there's not a lot of like media trained people in the gun tube space, and whenever one of them shows up, they seem to like take over in a freakishly dominant way because they're just so good at talking. Yeah, so when you encounter something like that, you're like, "Whoa, this feels so different." Because most of it is kind of just like regular dudes,
Send trash. Yeah.
who are blasting trash and talking about stuff and using the term ambidextrous all the time.
Yeah.
So then I don't know. Like I think my start was like video game essay content before this concept of video essay even really existed. It's like basically an outgrowth of old Let's Plays. Is kind of how I started doing stuff. And so like I basically I don't think there's almost anybody else, at least at the time that I first started. There's a couple now, but very, very few gun YouTube channels are structured like video essays. They're not usually written, to tell a story, I guess, is the thing. Like a good video essay or, a good piece of written content in general will have a story, will have a strong thesis statement that it kind of reinforces throughout. So, I mean, I guess I almost can't think of any right now. Like I'm struggling to even think of some, even though I know I've come across the odd gun video that was heavily scripted. Maybe one good example would be a channel called Gun Believable on YouTube right now.
Oh, I love his videos.
I'd say he's sort of the inheritor of Life Size Potato, his old thing. And Life Size
Okay.
Potato, I don't know if he was scripted. He sounded scripted. He might have just been so like on the button with everything he wanted to say. I mean, because he would do these videos that felt like one perfect clean take, no repeated
Unless there
information.
was rabbit hair.
Unless there was rabbit hair, he had to brush off his carpet because he was just filming on the floor in the living room, I guess.
Why were they not just pictures? I didn't realize I thought it was a picture until he would do that. I'm like, what, you've been filming
That's why I
this?
wonder if they were actually scripted or not, because it was clearly it was filmed, I think, in a one take. Of course, he could have edited it together because he did have B-roll. Same as like me on the back of the truck is never a one take. It's edited together, right? But I was like, this guy sounds so coherent in the way that he speaks. I have no idea what his job was or like what happened to him after that. But I loved how concise those videos were and how dense the information was. That's always been my objective, is I want the video to be as short as possible while still saying everything that I'm able to say. So yeah, I get pretty mercenary in the editing process of removing stuff that I think is unnecessary. And you know, I believe that we are in a bit of a productivity crisis where there is so much content and the content is all trending longer and longer to the point where you could never do anything ever again in your life. You've got enough content already in your YouTube Watch Later playlist, and there's dozens of hours coming out every hour. You could just sit there and rot and you would never have to move again. So I really want to make stuff shorter, and it would be so much easier for me to just run my mouth for 45 minutes and post it, versus editing it down or pre-scripting it. But I think it's worthwhile. I think it, you know,
That's
I hate
interesting.
repeating myself. I hate when I catch myself repeating something in a video that I didn't catch initially. Like I went, most recent video I posted was Romeo AT AMR, and I think I said the same thing twice in the intro and then later on in the body of the video, meaning that either I should have rewritten the main part of the video or I should have just cut the intro. And it pisses me off because that's a long video.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
15 minutes long. That's egregious. That's insane.
That's interesting. So
I
like
appreciate
you
your
said,
videos.
yeah, I like longer form content, but I also have to turn my brain off for half of my work day, so that probably helps. And I just like, now granted, it's either that, because I like listening to, I mean, firearms are effectively all I do, anything in this space. So like either I'm listening to that or I'm listening to like videos on like statistics, or like I'm listening to like Sherlock Holmes books or Warhammer video or books. I I need something for my brain to do. I get bored. But it's interesting to try and distill down the point of the content and get down to the nitty-gritty, like being very efficient in how you deliver the information. And that's interesting. Also, real quick, if you haven't heard of Rackham Projects, it's a lot of like gunsmithing, but if you've seen like any of like the Mr. Patina or like the restoration videos for like cars or like tools or vices and shit like that, it's effectively that except for guns, and it's all very scripted. He starts with a thing, he restores like a Gewehr 70 or like a Gewehr 88 or something like that, or and then the whole way through, or he's talking about how to reload for like uh 11.8 by 50, whatever the hell. And he's like taking modern brass and swaging on shit like that. But it's all
Cool.
very, very nicely scripted. And then he goes and he shoots it at the end. It's very cool. However, it is long form to some degree.
See, that's, probably, I don't know if you ever had this where it's like there's stuff that you sort of wish you liked. You're like, I'd like to think of myself as the kind of person who would do that, you know? Like for me, it's maybe like jazz music or something, or like classical music where like I understand the artistry there. And I'm like, I wish I could be the kind of person who appreciated that. But when I try to listen to it, I'm like, I am so bored right now. I need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I know. I need a chunky metal riff or some blast beats. Come on, speed it up. But yeah, like one of the biggest tragedies to me, one of my favorite people in gun YouTube throughout all of its history is Othais from Sea and Arsenal. And I love the idea of the Sea and Arsenal channel. The problem is that they have two kinds of videos, one that is 50 seconds long and one that is 4 hours long. And I can't watch either of those because the 50-second one is not substantial enough. I'm like, oh, I want more. And they're like, well, then there's this 4-hour long video. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I have a job, so I can't do that. So I'm like, I wish there were 20-minute long Sea and Arsenal videos, that really like
Forgotten Weapons.
And that's exactly Forgotten Weapons is, I can never not watch a Forgotten Weapons video. I think they're absolutely perfect. And I'm a bit of an Ian simp because I've met him now and he's invited me out to this Moons Out match a couple years in a row. So like obviously I'm a little biased there, but like, and then again, also I will say nice things about Garantham. When he first started, he was a pretty awkward guy. He was obviously not used to being a presenter or whatever, but he clearly had some kind of a knack for it. And if you watch his videos now, I'd say he is an incredibly good presenter. There's, if you really wanted, again, the incentives on YouTube are to make videos much, much longer.
Right.
His videos are probably about twice as long as they used to be and contain much less information, but they're presented extremely well. So like I can get through a Garantham video, even though they're longer than I would probably like for the topic, because he does a very good job of presenting. There's not a lot of redundancy. There's not a lot of wasted airtime. So
There's a lot to look at too.
Yeah, to me,
Yeah.
production value. People confuse production value for like expensive cameras and nice slow motion and effects. It was like, to me, no. To me, production value should be that you put some real intentionality into what you're trying to say. Because a lot of the time, it's sort of like high production value for a 45-minute video where they have just nothing to say. They're just going through boilerplate, just reading specs or something like that. Or,
Yeah.
And yeah, that doesn't do anything for me. Like that would, I mean, if I need background noise, sure, just to listen to the thing that I love, which is firearms, just being talked about and experienced. Like, okay, that's fun background noise. That's pleasant nonsense to fall asleep to or whatever. Like I can enjoy that. But like, if I want to learn something, and most of the time I want to learn something, I
That's
can't learn something from a YouTube short, and I can't learn something from a 4-hour long podcast because I'm not paying attention to the entire thing. Like it has to be intentional. There has to be some meat on those bones, and a lot of the time it's just rambling.
right.
Yeah. That's
Like
good.
not like we're rambling here. We're very very on the ball.
Oh yeah,
tonight.
we're on the proverbial
button.
ball. But of course,
Yeah.
of
Once we got
course.
past the shenanigans and the tomfoolery.
Well, so
I mean, it's
feel
not
that
just
way.
2 hours of guys going like, "Damn, that's crazy, bro."
That's wild,
Bro,
I
that's so
never
crazy.
knew.
I hadn't
said
heard
that.
that. That's crazy.
Dude,
I gotta look
that's
that up.
awesome. Bro, gnarly.
Well,
Nuts.
so I
Nuts.
feel kind of like that way about like the channel Banana Ballistics, where it's kind of some nonsense, but the guy clearly knows he very clearly knows what he's talking about. He just figured these people like watching shit explode, so I guess I'll do that. Because he's loading these custom cartridges and he very clearly is competent, but then makes videos where it's like 308 versus 556. It's like, what the fuck is this?
He might, be like the gun version of Electro Boom or something. Like, there's clearly something wrong with him, but I'm loving every minute of it, Cherry.
Oh yeah. You should email him and tell him that there's a perpetual motion machine that he hasn't tested.
I think if you hot rod the cartridge enough, you will unlock the secret.
Oh.
All right, real quick. So we touched on things being like a slippery slope. So in terms of civilians and people getting into body armor and night vision and shit like that, what point should they be straying away from like 5.56 to like 6 arc or the 6.5s and all the more I guess more. I hate saying that, it's not really that modern. They've actually been out for a little while now, but like the more zoomery cartridges.
I think
That
never.
hurts me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that stuff really fits the like the hot rodder niche or whatever. Like really
Right.
chasing minute performance because it matters in a competition setting, or you're a hunter who just like really wants to fuck around with like extremely precise but yet affordable cartridges that you make at home or something like that. The actual benefit that you get is not enough to justify all of the other stuff that goes into it. Like, I mean, you make your AR less reliable and heavier, and your magazines suck, or they cost $100 a piece, and your ammunition is $3 a shot. And then also, again, the promise that you're often given with these cartridges, people are like, look how good this $3 a shot 6 arc does compared to M193 ball ammunition, or even worse, Tula steel. They're like, look at how much my 6 arc ELDX load outperforms 223 Tula steel case. And you're like, that's cool. Have you ever compared it to 77 grain OTM, which at least until Palmetto kind of chimped out of the market, you could get pretty damn cheap, and it was pretty good. So it's always a fake. Oh, also velocity. Velocities are always complete bullshit because they're like, well, our cartridge will do this from a 24-inch barrel. You're like, excuse me, how long? And they're like, yeah, pretty long, man, pretty long. So, yeah, I don't think it's at all worth it. If you really like, I have to have this duality of man argument where I have to sort of play both sides. I'm like, if you want to do this because it's fun and cool, hell yeah. Nut and Fancy's first and second cool is the most important, probably one of the most important things that you can internalize if you're going to really, really get interested in guns, I think. Because it also, first of all, it helps you understand a lot of stuff that you see. But second of all, it frees you. It makes you so free. Because you can be like, this is my serious gun and this is my bullshit gun, and I love them both so much and I enjoy them, and nobody could ever possibly take that away from me because I know exactly why I like them. what infuriates me perhaps more than anything is when people try to justify their little niche bullshit build into their LARP fantasy. Terrible. I really hate that. That's not first or second cool. It's like 15% cool. But yeah, that's the problem I think you run into is like if you're really, really getting serious in all this stuff, you're like, well, things are going to get so serious that we're going to need body armor and radios and night vision and all that sort of stuff. You're like, well, then things are so serious that you can't be like sourcing Hornady ELDX because
Right.
you can't afford it now. You think that when the world goes to shit, you're going to be like, and now I've suddenly discovered this secret pile of money that I can use to buy ELDX.
Good day, sir. Would you take my fiat currency backed by no government for this ammunition, please?
And then on
Hold
top
the line,
of that,
boys. I need to fall back to Cabela's and restock on Hornady Black.
well, and then the
Damn, it's
argument
on
becomes
restock.
how much 5.56 could you have bought for all that 6 arc, and it's like how much more logistically does it make sense for you to have a bunch of 5.56 guns versus not? But I mean,
Yeah.
so all right, so you said you're trying to play around getting into long range. What does that? I mean, are you shooting 6.5 Creedmoor? Are you shooting 308? What are you just like standard, like
Yeah,
Grandpappy's cartridges?
I would like to. I don't really have a place to do it, but it's sort of like every time that I go out to Utah, I try to take something that's a little bit more long range focused. So like right now, I've got a 6.5 Grendel DMR build that I'd like to shoot a little bit more. I like 6.5 Grendel, and is it as good as 6 arc? No, but we already established that nobody fucking cares. So I'm
it's
doing
a
6.5
Grandpappy
Grendel.
though.
That's a good established.
It's got a way cooler name.
Well, isn't that the parent case? I thought that was a parent case.
I think the
Grendel?
parent case for both is 220 Russian.
Well,
Or maybe
I
I'm thinking of 6.5 Grendel and
wait,
something
no,
else.
hold on. 6 arc
Oh,
parent.
one moment while we
I feel
Google.
like I just talked to somebody about this. Yeah, 6.5 Grendel. Haha. Yes.
What?
Interesting.
So, yes.
6.5.
So
did a
6.5
thing.
Grendel's 220 Russian parent case, and then 6 arc is 6.5 Grendel parent.
I guess.
Yeah,
since
that
nobody
sounds
knows
right.
about 220 Russian or can even get it anymore, that makes 6.5 Grendel objectively superior because it's the original. And the original's always cooler than the copy.
Yep. How expensive is that Grendel?
Well,
Oh, yeah, I don't
same
know.
thing with 77 grain OTMs. When PSA was doing their ammo, there was some really good, really affordable 6.5 Grendel from AAC, and then they just shut down their ammo production. And maybe that's because they're going to expand it in the future. I don't know. Hopefully that is. But yeah, like for a minute there, it was getting really, really affordable. But a bunch of European militaries apparently love 6.5 Grendel, so you can actually get like PPU and
wondered what
S&B,
that
Cellar
was.
and Below. There's a
I was
lot of
wondering what
imported
that was.
6.5 now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Because a couple of years ago, it was kind of. I remember when they did the big bad Russian ban, air quote. Lack of a better term off the top of my head. I know 6.5 kind of dried up a little bit, so I'm happy to see it flowing back.
I was briefly devastated by that when Wolf 6.5 disappeared.
Yeah.
But after having shot a couple hundred rounds of Wolf 6.5, I'm not sad to see it go. That was a worthless fuck. It was the bullet weight was insane. It was 100 grains, whereas
Jesus.
everything else is like almost all of it's 123 or at least 110, 115, I think.
Right.
So yeah, 100 grain.
Rifleshooter.com lists the parent case as 220 Russian.
Confirmed.
So it's got to be true.
Have you been working on that this whole time, Bruce?
I didn't want to be
It was really
giving
itching to bring.
misinformation.
It was itching
Well,
to
I
wanted
leave
to
the
be-
people hanging.
I wanted to do my due diligence. I'm sorry.
They're on the edge
Doing
of their
stuff.
seat,
Right.
waiting.
There was
So
that
you had
one,
already
They
forgotten.
need closure, damn it.
that one guy in the mom's basement. It's like, oh, yes, I was right.
God,
Mom, I
he
was
knew
right.
what I needed.
I was
If you
right,
end the
Mom.
episode without providing closure, then you're going to get a whole bunch of suicide notes in your email inbox tomorrow morning.
No more than normal, I imagine.
Do we build a separate email inbox for
Just
said-
for the suicide notes?
Help at
Oh,
the
man, every time-
an auto reply
You know
is
what?
like the
Actually, I'm
suicide
thinking
hotline number?
Your life is very important to us. Please stay on the line.
We'll have
And then a
all
little
the,
image
the
of
new,
somebody
the,
hanging.
the new list. We'll have all
God.
the new guests start reading. Like, read this. Like as we end the show, we just have the guest read a note.
A
It'll be a
stream of
great-
consciousness email with no punctuation. It's like, the Carry Handle podcast ruined my life. I used to have things going for me, and now I just can't take it anymore. Goodbye, cruel world.
This
is
is
the last
all
you'll
I
ever
could
hear of me.
take. This is all I had.
Uh,
I just don't know. Was its parent case 220 Russian or not?
Well,
They wouldn't answer.
I can't live not knowing.
No.
well, you know what someone's gonna say if they see
Oh.
you after that, right? You failed.
Wait, after they killed himself?
No, I'm saying after you say that, and then someone sees you, they say you failed.
You didn't manage to drive them to suicide. That's not my objective. That's not what
I'm
I'm
sorry.
trying to do. It's an
Turn
acceptable side
around.
effect of some of what I do, but it's not the objective.
It wasn't the
Acceptable
objective,
side
it's a side effect.
Oh God, help
Holy
us.
hell.
We're here to educate, but once people know the dark truth behind what's going on, I can't be responsible for what they do.
Oh, is it like it's like they
Incredible.
open up? It's like what is it like when they learn knowledge? You know, like man is ignorant, and then when they learn knowledge, they see, and then they realize how terribly horrible they are.
It's the, what was it from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? It's the infinite perspective machine or something like that.
Mm.
It gives people a sudden flash of just exactly what their position is in the whole entire universe, and then it shatters their brain. More people
Yep.
could use that, I think.
The sequel's going to be bad. I already know that.
I prefer the what if machine from Futurama.
Okay.
So
Well,
all that Luke and I do, Luke and I just did a shoot last night, and all we did the whole time was just Futurama quotes. Some Bo Burnham quotes, but yeah, a lot of it is just sort of like constantly referencing Futurama.
Dude, I can reference that like all day. I remember the one where Bender turned into a human, and then
Talked
they
about that one.
and then they rolled him right, and he went woo.
Woo! It's just
So, you want to
the
know a
wind
funny?
escaping his folds of fat.
You want to know a funny story? That's happened to me in
Is
real
that
life.
real? Oh,
That's
great.
really happened.
That's dark.
I've rolled someone of large stature, and I've heard like woo, and somebody's like, "What was that?" I'm like, that's just the air escaping from their rolls."
The deceased was formerly a robot who got turned into a human for one night of
well,
Woo!
I think we're
wretched
gonna have
hedonism.
to inform Luke he no longer holds the crown for the most scattered podcast I think we've done, because that normally our scattered ones are with him.
That makes sense. That's
Mostly
like when
because he's like he's kind of like a puppy. Like he's just fucking running from idea to idea, and it's amazing, and I love
when
it.
Luke and I talk or we hang out together, like we will both interrupt each other. Like we'll be halfway through a sentence and we'll interrupt with a completely new thought, and that first thought, that halfway finished one, we never come back to it. So we just like we leave, we shoot for like 2 days or whatever, and we're going home and we're like, man, like I asked Luke like 20 questions and got 0 answers, and he asked me 20 questions and I did not respond to any of them.
Nothing
like, we are
productive
actually-
has happened.
Yeah, we are worse off for having spent time together because we've set ourselves back by weeks.
This is what my so we have a 2-year-old, and we've been learning about how they boys play with other boys, and I've learned it's called parallel play. They don't play with each other; they play around each other. So they're interacting by being around each other, and I think that's a fact of life because Kevin and I do that.
I've heard the theory
Well,
that men associate side by side because they're working on a task, but while being together and perhaps communicating, whereas women communicate face to face because of evolutionary psychology or some bullshit. I don't know how it works.
Oh yeah,
But
I'm
I'm a
done
strong
to
believer
look.
in that.
I'm done to look a couple times at work when some of the nurses and stuff I work with. I'm just like I do the look, they do the nod, and then we get it done.
Yeah, it's
I
like
like
what could be
that's-
more like 2 men standing side by side working on an engine or, cooking
Yeah.
food over a fire or something. If you actually have to like maintain solid eye contact, it's unnatural. You're like, shouldn't we
it's
be
unpleasant,
working on
yes.
something? Like, come on.
Why are we doing
Someone
this?
give me
Why
a
are we just
tool.
standing here?
What are we
What's
doing?
happening?
What are we
Who are
doing?
you?
What is
Oh,
being
God.
produced? What is the value
Perfect.
of this interaction?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you should have
All right.
a volunteer follow you and Luke around with a notepad and just fill in all the questions and answers.
Just to make sure everying's been covered.
Ooh, yeah, we do
It's
need
like,
a
you
secretary
gotta,
who's like,
let's
I'm
end
going to
this.
need you guys to circle back to a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So just a big quill.
Yeah, just light a
All
fire.
right.
And just light a fire and look at it, and all the truth
Yeah.
will be answered.
All right. Well, Hop, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute
I don't know if
pleasure.
we accomplished literally anything, but if you have me back on, we should try to script the entire thing so it's a little more.
I like that. There's
concise and it
a
flows.
Yeah,
but we don't tell anybody because maybe this was the scripted one and they don't
maybe
know.
it was.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
We're just the best actors. We're talking about
So good.
production value. Maybe
That's
it's more
true.
entertaining.
It's that naturalistic vibe that we bring to the production.
That's
Indeed.
what it is. It's not the crackhead energy. It's the naturalistic vibe. I totally agree.
We're
Well,
really good
so-
at deliberately inserting a couple of stutters and pauses, and
Oh, yeah.
maybe you say the wrong word every once in a while. That's all scripted. We all wrote that down.
It's
It
true.
is.
Yeah, no, those are all. It's all real.
Painstakingly. Took me
Indeed.
hours to
Improv is
write.
a different skill. We don't have that. No, sir.
Nay. Oh, the
I am a
fizz.
gun.
That's what I was gonna say. James May says it's the fizz. The second kind of cool we were talking about earlier.
The
Sorry, that just popped back
fizz.
into my head.
Yeah, there it is.
James May's like, well, this card gives me the fizz, like under my balls, and I'm like, I do get that actually.
Yeah, you get the little
Sorry,
tingle down there.
that
That's
came back
called
into my head.
prostate cancer.
We were talking about cartridges, and I wanted to say that, but
Get
then
yourselves
I forgot.
checked, guys.
Yep.
All
Finger
right,
up
so
the asshole. Checks the prostate.
tell the people where to find you so they can come bother you and tell you that you're wrong about G3s.
I'm not wrong about G3s. I've only ever spoken actual, solid, verifiable facts about the G3. It's also still my
What?
favorite Cold War battle rifle.
That's a good
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah, but it
I
does
love
shoot
that
like
you
butt.
said that. I love that you say that.
Let him
Yeah.
say the finish part.
Fuck you.
Anyway, if you go on YouTube and you search Hop, you will find a kid's movie about a rabbit, I think. But if you keep scrolling, you might get to me, or you can type Hop Night Vision, because I don't think the rabbits have figured that out yet. So I'm also on Twitter, x.com, formerly Twitter, Elon Musk's The Everything app, just in case. But I'm also on Instagram. I recently got my Instagram account, sort of out of jail, and so I started posting again. We'll see how long that lasts. So, yeah, you can find me. If you want to ask me questions, people don't do this enough. My business email address is on my YouTube channel. And that's actually a lot easier to respond to than messages on Instagram, because DMs on Instagram go into this dark void folder that I'll never see. It could be 2 years before I see your message. So if you really have an important question, try not to DM me on Instagram. I won't see it.
Fair. It's totally fair. Well,
But I do
they
like
can
answering
also,
questions. So
They can also look up Hop MRO, and then
Yep,
you'll
that'll get you
probably
there.
pop up.
yeah, if you don't know who I am, then you probably don't know any of the products that I'm infamous for being mean to. So that won't necessarily help you. But yeah, if you lose track of me and you need to find me again, just type in Hop and then the name of the product that I was mean to one time, and it's probably up there.
That didn't used to work. I used to have to type out your whole fucking name, and I never remembered how to spell it. That shit pissed me off. I'm like, God, son of a bitch.
That's why I changed
I
my,
need to find
my
that
channel
USB
name, or my channel
video.
display name to just Hop.
You
They're both
saved
impossible to search.
So many people, so much time. And we thank you.
All right. I got to find the outro now. Oh, wait. We have to do the call to action, right?
War, my brother.
Give us the comments. Give us the likes. Death threats and love letters, all the same. We love it all. Like us and comment and share the video. Now I have to go take a piss. I'm going to go pee now. Bye.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Very cool. You should like and subscribe.
On Facebook and Instagram.
And Twitter and Spotify. You should listen there too. If you
Aren't they
heard
listening
this on
to
Spotify.
this on Spotify right now?
Well, they could be, but there's also YouTube podcasts. So, all of the places.
We always forget where we post this stuff.
We don't know where this is. Thank you for listening wherever you're listening to, but you should also like the other places that we are. And
Who
then
are we and what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know how we got here. So thank you for letting us talk directly into your ear holes.
Right to the brain.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Adios.